So Hebrews, Jews, and Israelites, they're the same exact people. So let me break it down for you. Abraham, who's the father of the Jewish people, was called a Hebrew. His grandson Jacob was renamed Israel by God, and he had many children who became the people or children of Israel. Now, Judah was one of the sons of actual Israel. It was promised that the Messiah, or the Savior of the world, would come through the tribe of Judah. And as time went on, King David, who descended from the tribe of Judah, he ruled over a large portion of the Israelites, and the people adopted the name Jews, which comes from Judah. You may often hear Hebrews and Jews and Israelites being used interchangeably depending on the time and place, but at least now you have a little bit more of an idea of why the different terms are used. And number 9, so there are 3 main branches in Judaism. There are Reformed, Conservative, and Orthodox Jews. Of course, there are some smaller sects of Judaism as well, and each of them have their own unique customs and practices, but all of them do follow and they understand and interpret what they do as the real authentic version of Judaism. But their underlying and core beliefs are all the same since they stemmed from the exact same place. In Judaism, there is just one God. Judaism believes that the one God is invisible, he's the creator of heaven and earth, and he has no children, and he's self-sustaining, all-knowing, and all-powerful. All creation depends on God to survive. God does, however, go by several names, which are considered to be so holy that Jews only use them in prayer. Jews generally refer to God as Hashem, which means the name in Hebrew. In the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, God tells the Jewish people to follow his commandments, and there are 613 of them in total. Now, normally people say, oh my God, that's a lot of commandments, that's a lot of rules. But hear this, have you ever looked through all of the law books of your country or even your city? Way more than 613. Either way, these are known as mitzvahs, meaning instructions. For the Jewish people, these laws are life itself and the path to connect to God rather than just some good recommendations. Now let's talk about Shabbat, or the Sabbath. It is something that Jews view as a gift to humanity, not just a gift to the Jewish people. Right after the Exodus out of ancient Egypt, God said to take a day off from work. That's part of the mitzvahs. Now there's some debate on what is classified as work, but this day off is known as Shabbat. It's a day dedicated to worship services, a time with friends and family, and to just rest and take a break. This happens weekly, and it stems from the belief that God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th day. Not that God was actually tired, but rather God took a break from creating and reflected on what he had accomplished. So Sabbath begins Friday sunset to sunset on Saturday, where human beings are invited to do the same thing. Take a break from your work and just reflect on what you've accomplished. And you're also invited to give thanks and praise to God as well. Halfway in, so you have probably heard the term rabbi in relation to Judaism before. Well, if not, a rabbi is Hebrew for master or teacher. And a rabbi is someone who is very knowledgeable about Judaism, the scriptures, and they are Jews who guide other Jews in their studies of the scripture and help them to understand the mitzvahs more clearly and things related to service of God. Now check this out. This is the Temple Mount, and the Temple Mount is considered sacred for Jews since they believe that God manifested here more than any other place ever. When praying, the Jews turn towards Temple Mount. However, it's forbidden to pray on Temple Mount because it's such a holy site, and Jews can only enter to visit at certain limited times. This is the reason why the Western Wall holds so much significance for the Jews today. Another important part about the history of Judaism is that the Jewish people began as slaves. The book of Exodus in the Bible tells how God helped Moses set the Jewish people free from slavery in ancient Egypt. It tells how the Israelites are also the chosen people of God. And in Hebrew, the book of Exodus is known as Shemot, meaning names. It's the second book of the Hebrew Bible, and it's believed by most that Moses wrote that book of Exodus. You've also probably heard the term bar mitzvah. Well, bar mitzvah is the rite of passage into adulthood for a Jewish boy. There's bar mitzvah, that's for the boys, and bat mitzvah, that's for the girls. This is an important tradition in Judaism, and it's mentioned in the Talmud, and it marks the age when a child becomes accountable for their actions as a man or woman. Before the bar mitzvah or the bat mitzvah, the responsibility of the child's actions are all on the parents. This also makes a boy or girl eligible to participate in public worship services, as well as start observing the commandments in a more serious way. The age of bar mitzvah is 13, and the age of the bat mitzvah is age 13 or 12, depending on the branch of Judaism that you follow. And the final thing is, the synagogue is a place of Jewish worship and prayer services. It's believed that synagogues came about during the Babylonian captivity in Israel because the Jewish temples were not able to be accessed for worship. Now today a synagogue is in every single Jewish community around the world, and some synagogues also have different rooms for studying the Torah, among other things. At number 10, all Jews support Israel. In fact, prior to World War II, there was a great controversy about whether or not there should be a Jewish homeland in the Middle East. There was also some controversy about what kind of homeland it should be. Some wanted to establish a Jewish cultural center within the Ottoman Empire. Others wanted a nation and state for the Jewish people and have a lot of political power involved in it. But today, many years after the establishment of the State of Israel, most Jews want to see a democratic Israel with secure boundaries and a place of peace, especially amongst their neighbors. Also, at the same time, many Jews disagree with the policies of the Israeli government. Rabbis are ministers. Well, not necessarily. Rabbis are expert in Jewish law, and until recently, it was quite rare for a synagogue to have a rabbi unless they needed to have someone make decisions about Jewish law. And on a whole, a synagogue needed a chazen or a cantor who could sing throughout the services. Now, many synagogues in Jewish communities operate without a rabbi, and usually you'll find rabbis among the Reform and Liberal Jews, but not necessarily all Jewish groups. For number 8, let's look at kosher laws. Jews keep kosher laws because it's healthier? Well, Jews actually keep kosher for one of two reasons. They are fulfilling the commandments in the Torah, or they are doing this for reasons of cultural identity. There are actually no specific health reasons for keeping kosher, although some health benefits may possibly be achieved. Popular Jewish teaching is that these commandments were given to Moses and Israel to distinguish them from other people around the world so that their eating could become a witness to the presence of God in the world. Number 7, Hanukkah is equivalent to Christmas. Well, no, it is not. It is not the Jewish version of Christmas. It is true that some Jews try to make Hanukkah a substitute for Christmas so that their children don't feel left out, but in actuality, it's a minor and not a major festival. The festival of Hanukkah really only happens in the evening when the candles are lit. Generally, stories of the Maccabees and stories of Judith are told. While the books of the Maccabees and the book of Judith aren't in the Jewish Bible, their stories are still seen as important. Number 6, let's talk about the Passover Seder. A common misunderstanding about Judaism is that going to the Seder represents the Last Supper. Although the Gospels in the Bible put the Last Supper with Jesus and his disciples around the time of Passover and therefore Seder, there is no conclusive evidence that the Last Supper was a Jewish ritual known as a Seder. Most scholars say that the Last Supper was most likely an ordinary Jewish meal, and it is also said that the Seder began to be practiced sometime after the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, after the time of Jesus. For lie number 5, Jews have horns. Now, this is not so much a modern misconception, but it was a huge misconception in the past. In the Middle Ages, a widespread misunderstanding about a verse from the Torah resulted in false stereotypes and even murder of Jewish people. The myth came about through a Latin mistranslation of Exodus 34 verses 35 that says, "And the children of Israel saw Moses' face, that his skin became Karen, and Moses put a veil back upon his face until he went into to speak with God. Now, the Hebrew term Karen, which means radiance, was mistranslated by St. Jerome as Karen, meaning horn in Hebrew, and this led to artistic portrayals of Jews as devilish characters. Artists like Michelangelo even depicted a horned Moses, and the statue that Michelangelo created is actually in the chamber of the US House of Representatives today. Judaism prohibits birth control? Well, you'll find many large Jewish families, that's for sure. However, in Judaism, the actual biblical obligation to be fruitful and multiply, found in the Torah, in the book of Genesis chapter 1 verses 28 and also chapter 9 verses 7, is fulfilled by having simply 2 children, a boy and a girl. So to say that a religious couple is not allowed to use birth control would be a big misconception, pun intended. Orthodox Jewish couples generally consult a rabbi to evaluate whether or not they can use birth control and which methods are preferable. So yeah, it's really up to the couple, and it's not something that Judaism outright prohibits. Number 3, Jesus and his bar mitzvah. Let's look at this one. Regardless of whether or not someone believes that Jesus existed, there were actually no bar mitzvahs until the 10th century, which is 1,000 years after the time of Jesus. And apparently bar mitzvahs actually started to appear at about the same time as the separation of men and women in the synagogue. Up until that time, they sat together. Lie number 2, Jews follow Judaism. This is a huge one. Jews are an ethnic group as well as a religious group. Hence, you might identify yourself as Jewish, but not religious. But you couldn't be considered religious Jewish unless you were ethnically Jewish or had become Jewish. The issue of Jewish identity has its intricacies for sure. Usually a person is considered Jewish if their mother is Jewish. Certain groups, however, accept that a person is Jewish if they have one Jewish parent and are also brought up as Jewish. And finally, we made it to number 1, the biggest lie in this episode. All Judaism is found in the Old Testament. You can find stories related to Judaism and see the 10 Commandments and things like that. But biblical Judaism, with the tabernacle and the temple and priestly services, animal sacrifices, all of that, is not the Judaism practiced today. Judaism is a religion that is living and developing and has evolved to meet the times that we live in. There's also, of course, much debate around how much Judaism should change without deviating from its origins. But either way, all of what Judaism today is cannot be found in the Old Testament.